Welcome back everybody, this is always back with another video on the channel. Today I'm bringing you another Django video. It's not about Django completely, but it's related to Django. In this video I'm going to talk about PyCharm. PyCharm is an IDE created by Jetbrains company, and it is the best IDE that you can get for Django development or overall web development. It comes with lots and lots of features. I've been using this since I started Django or overall Angular or JavaScript development. So I would like to share my thoughts on this IDE. Obviously, there are free versions or free IDEs available like VS Code, which is very popular. But in my opinion, PyCharm or WebStorm or overall IntelliJ platform is the best IDE out there that you can get. Now, when you're working with Django, you're gonna need some software to test your API. You're gonna need a debugger for your code. You will need something to access your database and make queries to your database. You probably wanna have a very advanced support for Django. A lot of things are packed into this PyCharm IDE, which is really great. And also the support that it provides for not just Django, but with Angular, React, Electron, Cordova. Pretty much it will give you everything you need to do the web development. There are some cool features that probably you use PyCharm or WebStorm, you probably don't know. After spending a lot of time and learning this IDE, I figured out there's a lot of things that are really helpful. So let's get started talking about PyCharm, mainly for Django developers. So first of all, this is how you basically see when you start PyCharm, and you might have one project open up as well. So first thing I would like to show you is the debugger available in PyCharm. So what you need to do for that is go to Preference and then search for Python interpreter. And make sure that you have a Python install and interpreter set up for you already. Okay, you'll see the VNV file if you're not using Conda or anything else, and that will just create this virtual environment here. So to set up a debugger, you're gonna go to Edit Configuration right here. And I've got some other HTTP requests here. I'm just gonna delete those, and I'm just gonna show you this Django server. So I'm just gonna delete that as well. Click on plus button and you will see there is a preset available for Django server. So I'm just gonna select that, and it's gonna automatically do all its configuration. And all we're gonna do is just click on apply, and I'm going to rename that to, let's just say API. Okay, I'm just gonna apply and close. Now here I've got two buttons. This is a debug button and this is a play button. So play will run this code, debug will basically start a debugger as well. I'm going to click on the debugger. Now you can see we got a debugger here and a console, and it's saying, oh, port is already in use, that's why I couldn't start. I'm going to check my terminal, or something is already, using this port. So what we can do here is click on this stop button and let's try it again. Okay, so now you can see the API is running with Django version 2.2.4. Now this is our debugger. It's going to give you pretty much everything that you need to debug your code. For example, I'm going to go to this view here, and basically this will this view is basically returns if the server is live or not. So a lot of times when you're writing a front end, you start your front end website and you start debugging from your front end, which is not really a good way to develop, because you need a quick way. Probably just click on a button, make an API call, and check the results there. For that, we have a built-in HTTP client in PyCharm. So here you see a folder. I've got two files. The extension for those is .http. I'm going to click on this request, and here's some JavaScript code I've written here. I will create a separate video how to use this HTTP client within PyCharm or WebStorm, or let's just say IntelliJ platform. I'm just going to click on this play button and click on run local. And here we have a run service open, and here I've got the result. So we'll go to the view. I'm just going to click on here to do a breakpoint. Let's go back here. I'm going to click on this play button, click run with local. And there you go. We got our debugger triggered in. I'm going to click here as well. I'm just going to click on this resume button. And there you go. We got the data. And then it's going to return that data into our run service. I'm just going to bring it up. There you go. So as you can see that our debugger is running, it's automatically configured, and it's really, you know, very easy to set up. And the good thing about this, it has a very strong support for Django, and it lots of times you're writing a code which is not right, and it will give you some suggestion, give you tips and, you know, tricks regarding Django. So here is the second thing that we talked about. One, you have a debugger. Then you have a http.request file that you can write all your APIs as a client, so to test those. For example, if we want to log in with this credential, I'm going to click on this play button, and then it says non-field errors, unable to log in with the credential provided. Okay, that's all right. I'm just going to create that user account. So I'm just going to click on this play button and say run with local. And there you go. We created a username with this email and a username and IDs there as well. So I'm going to go back to request, and here I'm going to click on this play button, run with local, and that's it. We created a user account, and then I was able to log in, and I've got this authentication token, but I'm using some, you know, this PyCharm specific code here to set that token as a global, so I could use this in other APIs. For example, here I've got this API endpoint called company. I'm just going to run this one, and it's going to return an empty array. Okay, nothing's there, so I'm just going to create a company here. Let's run it, and that's it. I've got this whole serialized data back, and then I'm going to click on this one, run this, and I get the data back. So you can see that you need something to test your API, and the best place to do it is within your IDE, because you don't want to switch between your platforms. So I'm using this Postgres database running on Amazon. It's a free tier, so I can use it for like development purposes. Now, usually when you don't have this, you want to test your Postgres, you're going to have to install pg4admin. Which is kind of a mess. I didn't really like it because there's not many shortcuts available for that. Okay, so as you can see, we got the debugger, which is very strong, and also we have this HTTP client, so you can write your HTTP request, and also you could test them. For example, here I've got this first check server. I'm gonna run this, and it returns success true, and I'm going to click on this test, and as you can see, it passed the test. Now, the reason why it passed the test, because my test says client.assert response.status equal to or equality to 200. So if that's the case, it's going to pass the test. Otherwise, it's going to say response status is not 200. Okay, so just for testing purposes, I want to make sure that it fails now. So I know this endpoint will return response code as 200 if the request is successful. So I'm just going to specifically say 201. Now it's going to return 200, and I'm expecting it to be 201, and it should fail the test. So I'm just going to click on this play button, and now I'm going to go here, and it says, oh, request response status is not 200. So that's the message it's printing out. Okay, so you can see, not just testing your API, actually not just making an API calls, but you can actually test those API with the data as well. You can do a pretty much whole JavaScript right here, and this has this, you know, testing framework built into it. So number one, debugger, which is great. Second, we got something to test our API endpoints and don't have to switch between a real front-end code versus this code, or don't want to use the Postman as well. Okay, so right here, write a code and that's it. You're all good to go. I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this file as well. The next thing we want to talk about, you need something in your IDE to access a database, okay? Or maybe make queries to database. So here I've got this database here. Now I've already connected to this database, but for example, I would like to connect to a different database. So for example, here I've got this db.sqlite database that I want to connect to. So what I do is click on this plus button, go to data source, and here select the database type that I want to access. For example, that would be, where is SQLite? Okay, I'm just not able to find that. Yep, there you go. This is the SQLite, and then this will open this configuration, and then we are going to select that file. This is the file here. I'm going to click on this 3-dot button, and then I'm going to go and select that SQLite file. So we're going to go to cooking API, and then I've got this DB SQLite file. Click on open, click on test connection. It says drivers are not installed, so I'm just going to click on download drivers. And once the drivers are downloaded, then I'm going to click on test connection, and it says, yep, that's all good. And I can click apply and OK, and there you go. I've got this whole SQLite DB here. Now the reason why it's going to be an empty because I haven't run the migration for this in Django. I'm just going to right click and click on remove to remove that. So we work with this database, what it gives you. So I've connected to Amazon database. I'm going to right click. So what it can do for me is jump to console. I'm going to click on this clock in console, and there you go. I've written some queries here. I'm going to click on this arrow button, click on database. So this is one database within that server. In public, I've got these tables. So these are like a Django specific migrations, which makes the tables automatically. I'm going to click on this play button, and I'm going to click on give me company types. Now it returns this data. So we just created a username. So I'm just going to click on this authenticate user, and it's going to run all the queries. So I'm just going to try finding this authenticate user. So there you go. I've got only one user called testing. Okay. I'm going to try creating another user. So I'm just going to go to terminal. I'm going to type C. There's a command called create super user in Python Django. So I've created an alias for that. So I'm just going to trigger on alias.bash file and type CSU. And I'm going to name admin. Password will be something which I'm not going to tell you. Okay. Now I've created a new user account, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to run that. And this time when I go to authenticate user, I can see I've got this admin as a name, and I've just created a new user account. So right in your IDE, you have a full query system that you can do with your database. It supports pretty much, I don't know, all types of database. Well, MySQL is there, Oracle is there, Azure SQL database is there as well. You've got MariaDB. So yeah, you got everything pretty much you need. Now here you write your queries, you can test your database, and also if I want to modify some stuff, then I can just right click and then click on edit, and I can just do a modification and click on save. So PG for admin is okay, but this is great. Everything within your IDE. Okay, so that's about database. You can do queries. You can see the results right here. Okay, you can access the database, like all the tables and stuff. So I'm just gonna double click on this, and it's just going to bring these permissions that are like pre-default permissions created by Django. Okay, so now we talked about a database. We talked about how we can test API with using IntelliJ client. Okay, so that's database. That's a debugger. Now let's talk a little bit about Django support. So for example, if I'm going to import something from Django REST frameworks, for example, from REST framework, as you can see, it has a very, strong support. It gives you suggestion. IntelliSense is great. A lot of things that, it reads to your code, which makes it very helpful to write an API. So I'm just gonna undo that. Okay. Okay, now we're talking about Django specific things, so I'm just gonna go to tools, and I would like to find something Django Python console. Okay, so that's like a Python console that you can do all kind of Python here and test your Python there. I'm just gonna stop the API first. Let's just go API and click on this stop button. I'm going to go and close this debugger as well. Okay, let's go to tools and click on Python console. All right, so we got the Python console here. I'm just gonna click on this button to refresh that, and there you go. So Python console have a Django support. There's a lot of commands that can be very easily used within this console. It's not a Python pure console. Now the reason why it opened up this Django console is because it already know that we are working with a Django project, so it actually enabled the Django support within your console as well. I'm going to click on this and it tells me the Python version that I'm using, a Django version I'm using, so it's really great. If you give it a shot, it will show you all those variables that currently that's in the memory. Okay, that's the console, but the cool thing is coming up. Okay guys, so we go to tools and there is something called run manage.py task. Okay, shortcut keys there as well, option R. So we're going to click on that. Now it's going to fetch all the Django commands. Now here, sometimes you don't remember Django specific commands or any CLI type commands. It has a support for Node or some other frameworks as well, like Angular or let's just say Express.js. Okay, so here I don't have to type Python space manage.py and space the command. All I gotta do is just press command space, and it gives me suggestion for all the commands available within the CLI. So for example, I would like to run something like migrate. So I'll type M and then it says make migration. That's it. I'm gonna press enter and it's gonna make a migration. So I'll type just migrate and there you go. We got migration happening, or basically applying the migration. Run job, run server. Okay, press on that and there you go, it started the server. So you can see you don't really need to remember a lots of stuff happening here. Okay, so click on this plus cross button because my control C is not working. So, and I'm going to press this control space, and you can see there's a lots and lots of commands that basically be used. And one thing you probably notice that if I just expand this, it actually have a description of every command that's available. You don't want to go to documentation and read the whole CLI command, but here it's like, flush, for example, remove all the data from a database, including data added during migration, does not archive a fresh install state. So basically it's saying, if I use this flush command, it's going to remove all the data from the database. Okay, let's give it a shot. I'm just going to double click on that, enter, and now it probably asks me yes or no. It's giving me like, confirmation. So type yes, enter, and that's it. It should clean my database. So to verify that, I'm just going to open the database and I'm going to go and open this auth user. And I had 2 user accounts here, but now I can see I don't have anything. Setup packages, nothing. So that means the flush command actually worked. So yeah, this is great. Now, again, I don't want to spend more time here, guys, but you can see there's lots and lots of commands available for Django, which is quite hard to read or memorize. So what you need to do is just use this and then probably find a command that you really need. find statics, finds the absolute path for a given static. So you can see the cool thing about this is that it has a description for every Django command that can be used. Okay, that's one thing. Next, what this thing offer is related to Django code coverage, or let's just say code coverage data. It's not gonna show me anything, but it's just, I have to select a few things. I mean, let's talk about it later. But first of all, I'm gonna show you quickly one thing. I'm gonna right click on this API folder, and there is something called create a diagram. I'm gonna click on show diagram. Okay, and it's asking me JavaScript module dependency or Django modal dependency. I'm gonna click on Django modal dependency, and there you go. It actually showing me how it's linking, how the apps and models are available into our code. So you can see that there are packages, there is like a company membership, and it's showing you the relations as well. For example, this is a facility which belongs to this user model, okay? And also clock-in facility belongs to a company as well. So you can see it created a diagram for you, which is really good. I'm gonna right click on this and just gonna create a diagram for this specific app. So I'm just gonna do Django model dependency, and there you go. You got the diagram there as well. Another thing I would like to show you is that, for example, if I just close this, open the terminal, I'm going to close this terminal, actually terminate this terminal by clicking here. Okay, but now if I click on terminal to open a fresh terminal, you will notice that the virtual environment that we have set up in the Python interpreter, it's automatically enabled. So I didn't have to go, like, for example, source VNV activate actually bin and activate. Okay, I didn't have to type this command because PyCharm terminal is pretty advanced and it gives you a lot of things. Even though you're on Windows or Mac, doesn't matter, it will just fix things for you. Okay, the debugger will take a lot of time, guys. It's really it requires a separate video, so I don't want to go there, but I just want to show you more stuff here. Okay, in terms of PyCharm now, you can see this VCS, which have a full support for version control system. It has a built-in, conflict resolver. It has, full-fledged Git support where you can do pull, push, merge, commit, and also I want to show you something. When you do a commit here, you get some options here. For example, here I've got this reformat code, rearrange code, optimize imports, perform code analysis, check to-dos, cleanup. Now these are really advanced things that basically automatically gets done. You don't really need to worry about writing the best possible code, because this cleanup will analyze your code, will give you suggestion that how you can improve your code within PyCharm. You got this perform code analysis, which is amazing. I make sure I always run it. Optimize import. Basically, sometimes you import things which are not used in a class file or in a file. It will just fix them up and it will give you these are the imports that are basically just sitting there without any reason. Okay, so as you can see, the Git support is great. Here as well, you can write a commit message and you can click on this file and see what's changed from previously. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. This is what's changed. I'm not going to commit this, but this is how your committing going to look like. I'm going to open a version control from this status bar. I'm going to click on log, and you can see here it has a full kind of like a diagram, a decorated diagram that shows me who's working on what and what are the branches available and what are the authors available. Okay, so that's great. Local changes are there. Right click and show differences. Yeah, you can see what's changed. Now another thing, this has a very strong support for comparing stuff to your local stage or any branch. For example, if I say right click, I have this compared with local, It tells me all the files, what is changed since this commit. I can right click and click on show difference, and there you go. That was basically I don't know, new file was written there. This PyCharm is really advanced. It requires a separate video in terms of what you can achieve in terms of, you know, facilities that it provides, like bookmarks, selecting a navigation to your code, refactoring your code. You got some nice material themes here as well. You got this HTTP client to test your RESTful services. You can start SSH session there. And also, we'll go to this preference and I'll show you a plugin section. So click on plugin, click on marketplace, and there you go. Lots and lots of people have worked on these plugins, and I've used pretty much a lot of plugins, and they're very matured and supported. So I can see, you know, there's a material theme UI, really great theme. There's a support for Node.js, for PyCharm, Vue.js. Okay. Also, we have a Bitbucket link here, which will basically try to link your repositories directly into your code, and you can see how many people have installed this. Okay, you got a bash support, which is one of my favorite plugins that I've installed. Okay, now I'm gonna wrap up this video here, guys, but there's a lot more that we can cover. In my opinion, PyCharm is the best IDE for Python Django development, overall web development. Okay, and for web development as well. There's a lot more I could cover, but it will take, you know, a lot of time. So I will probably create a Jetbrains series for all of their IDEs, from WebStorm to IntelliJ, from Rider to PyCharm, for PHP Storm to you know, Xcode type IDE that's available there as well. So here's something that I could show you. These are the Jetbrains Toolbar application, and they have something like IntelliJ Ultimate, community version. So right now, what you're seeing, these options are available in only PyCharm professional versions, not in community version. You got C-Line for C++ development, PHP Storm for PHP development. Yeah, there's a lot of tools available here. Okay, I hope you liked the video. If you did like the video and you found this informative, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and also donate if you really think this video was worth even $1. Okay, I'll drop links to these information in the description below, and yeah, I'll talk to you guys in the next one.